Our guest, her name is Teri Schnaubelt. You might not know her name, but you probably know her voice if you're somebody like me that likes to listen to books rather than read books. Because I'm not on the subway anymore, so I just kind of like sit around and listen to a book because it used to be I would hold a book and it was exciting to read it, but then I discovered the world of audiobooks and I was like, why should I do the work when someone else is already doing it for me?
Mm-hmm.
Teri, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Okay, so it's a double reason. Like, first of all, I'm very interested in the world of book reading, of course, but I'm even more interested because I found out that you're going to be reading my book.
Yes. Which makes me wonder, why didn't you want to read your own book?
Oh, you're so cute. I did want to read my own book, and I auditioned to read my own book. And okay, here's what's so funny. I auditioned to read my book. Okay, I've done some voiceovers. Mostly, I've been in radio almost 20 years. But
Right.
you and I both know the whole idea of what you do is very different from what I do.
Yes.
You are acting with your voice, right? I mean,
Thank you. Yes.
you have a way of taking one word, and putting all of this behind it and under it, where you put all this emotion and there's one word and then you sort of feel something. I don't have any of that.
I don't know. You speak pretty passionately. And I think that's part of it is being able to tap into, especially when you're doing nonfiction, which can get dry, tap into the author's passion. So clearly you are a very passionate person. So it's my job to figure that out just by reading what you wrote. And
Right.
then, imparting some of your passion into it when I read it.
Okay, that's good. I'm happy to hear that. That's good because I think it's gonna be awesome.
Great.
They had said to me, "Do you want to read your book?" And I was like, "Well, of course I do. Please, I wrote it. I'm in radio. It seems
Right.
perfect." They said, "Well, you're going to have to audition to read your own book." So
Wow.
Anthony and I made a little audition tape. I actually auditioned reading a piece of my own book,
Mm-hmm.
and it was almost like I hit send. And the minute they got it, they literally wrote back and said, Teri Schnaubelt's going to read your book.
Wow. So maybe they just set you up. They're like, well, we're going to get a professional to read it and we'll just, humor Cooper and let her send an audition. Right? Did you get that feeling?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Or they were kind enough at least to listen to it and go, oh, isn't she cute, thinking that's anything that we would ever want to hire.
Right.
My question is, when you read a book, do you pre-read the book before you go into the studio and read it into a mic?
Oh, yes. I think all the best narrators do that because sometimes that's what it takes to really dig into the author's passion, the story arc of the book, the arc of the characters, how they change throughout the book. And it helps inform you, especially when you're doing fiction, inform you what who these characters are, because other characters will say or think things about your, the main character, for example, if it's a first-person POV, that will inform decisions that you make.
Mm-hmm.
Acting wise. So yeah, you really kind of have to. And then inevitably, if you're doing fiction, they'll say on page 257 that this actor goes back to his home country of Scotland. And you're like, oh, wait, what? Is he supposed to have a Scottish accent? Thanks for telling me on page 252,
And then how do you handle dialogue? Are you like, so if you're from Africa, why are you white? Oh my God, Karen, you can't ask people why they're white. Like, I mean, do you do voices?
I do male and female voices, kids and old people, everything. That's one of the great things about this part of it is that I get to act all the characters. Whereas if you're a stage or on camera actor, you get typecast, right?
Right.
I mean, we can get typecast with our voice to an extent, but we have that flexibility to be all of the characters, and it's way more fun.
Okay, so if you end up having to be like a 50-year-old guy from Liverpool, what does it sound like?
Well, then I would have to call up some of my dialect coaches and make sure I get the Liverpool accent exactly right.
Oh, wow.
Because I can do general Scottish, general British, but if we're going to drill down into specific, areas, regions, then I'll be calling someone like PJ Oakland out in California, Dr. Dialect himself. So yeah, dialect
Okay,
coaching.
so now you know right now why you're reading my book and I'm not. I don't even know there was a dialect coach. I didn't know I didn't know you had to do any
Oh,
of the
there are
things.
many, thank God.
Wow.
PJ speaks, I think, like 4 or 5 languages, and there's dialect coaches that teach colleges here in the Midwest. I know some at UIC that also do coachings.
How much of the book do you read in one setting?
I try to end on chapters, but sometimes I'll stop in the middle of chapters and pick up. I'm pretty consistent, thankfully, so I'm able to pick up and hopefully no one will notice. But
Hmm.
yeah, we generally record about 2 to 4 finished hours a day. But to get there, because of breaks and mess ups and so forth, you're recording all day. So probably 2.5 times that. So 4 to 8 hours a day.
We're speaking with Terry Schnaubelt. She is a voiceover actor and actor in general, and she's going to be reading my book, Celebritocracy, and I'm so excited. And the funny thing is they sent me all of your stuff as if I had a say in it at all. They were like, here's who we'd like. What do you think? I'm like, you know, thank you for
Sure,
asking.
sounds great.
Yeah, but no, well, I did listen to you, and I was like,
Oh, good.
she's amazing. There's no way she's going to say yes. So if you can get her to say, if Terry's going to say yes to reading my book, I would like cower at her feet, begging her, because I just think you're amazing. I've heard books that you've read. Like after I heard your voice, I was like, wait, I listened to that book, and
Oh, which
so
ones have you listened to?
I went through your list, and there was like a couple of, it was like one murder mystery that I was like, I heard that one. There was
Oh,
a
nice.
couple of them on your list that I listened to. I was like, that's cool. I like that. So my book, I'll tell you. I mean, I'm not going to ruin anything for you. I don't want to give away anything. But
Spoiler alert.
it moves. I think you'll have fun reading it because it really moves. It's not, you're not going to be bogged down. I don't think you're going to be bogged down in it. Like as I was going through it and reading it, I was thinking in
Mhm.
my head what it would sound like for you or whoever was going to be reading it. I had that in my mind as a
Oh,
listener.
good.
As somebody in radio. I mean, I think like a person in radio, and I
Mm.
think like somebody
That's
who,
great because not a lot of authors do that. A
yeah,
lot of authors, the first time they've heard it out loud is when they hear the audiobook, and they'll have a character named Jack and they'll have a sentence, Jack asked. And I'm like,
oh,
yeah, you might maybe want to phrase that a little differently because I'm not
yeah,
going to say Jack asked. That
right.
just sounds weird, right? I'm going to say Jack asked, and it's your fault if that's
Wait, so
so.
does that happen? I mean, do you read a book and like as you're reading it, you find like something doesn't make sense or it's terribly written or there's something like you just mentioned, like Jack asked. When you
Yep.
find that, do you say something?
Not with Jack asked, but if there if there are clear typos or something just doesn't make sense, I'll try to make sense of it and fix it on the fly. And then the proofer that goes through it after me, that listens to the whole book and follows along with the manuscript to double check that I caught all my mistakes, and they'll probably catch some. They'll make the determination, okay, the manuscript should be changed, or they're just gonna be like, we'll just leave it as is, it's fine. If the manuscript is a little bit different from the voiceover, it's okay as long as it makes sense. We try to be 100% accurate, but if it's a typo, then we try to fix it.
Right. No, I mean, if you have ways to make the book sound better from a reading perspective, not that they would ask me
Just
again. They
ad
do, they
lib
do,
the whole
they
thing.
do not care what I have to
Right.
say.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're
I'll
saying
just go off on tangents.
ad lib the whole, exactly. There's a whole chapter on Kim Kardashian. Add your opinion on her, maybe. Something you just read that morning you want to add, or something she said on Instagram. Go for it.
Yeah, if you get past the first paragraph and you don't like the rest of the book, just ad lib the whole thing and just send it in.
I'll just close it and be like, okay, y'all, here are the Cliff's notes, okay?